Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
We are back.
So we have a major rock slide, and this is near Argaga Beach in La Gomera in the Canary Islands. It's something to see. There's a video here. There's a lot of pictures to show you before and after, and we see a massive pile of rubble and debris. The video to watch, though, is this one right here, because these people are just noticing a little bit of rock starting to fall, and they're watching. And I don't speak more than maybe a couple dozen German words, but I think somebody's saying, oh, begins with an S.
Yes. S ends with T.
Yeah, as this thing just starts to kind of explode. And the dog is barking. Dog reminds me of Zeke. He's very, very alert. And then everybody gets the impression that this might be heading close for comfort, so they start to book. The thing that really hits me about this is the location in the Canary Islands, because like I said to Cindy, this is in the Canary Islands, and she was like, yeah, and it was like, well, La Palma. And so she wasn't familiar with La Palma. And so La Palma Islands in the Canary Islands, and when we look at what we're talking about, here we have La Palma, and here we have the island that we just had that collapse on. Now, they're not the same island, but they're in the Canary Islands, which are beautiful. And actually, who knows? Maybe this is a little bit of leftover Atlantis here, Atlantean culture, as we look at where it is. There's the Straits of Hercules right here. And of course, the famous saying is that right out here, that's where it was, Atlantis. So anyway, getting into La Palma, and this is just a tiny little article on the tsunami risk. You may remember the fuss back in 2001 when two geologists, Stephen Ward and Simon Day, announced their theory that the west side of the island of La Palma would collapse someday, creating a mega tsunami that would cross the entire Atlantic and still be anything up to 75 feet high when it hit New York. And indeed, everything from Newfoundland and Canada all the way to Brazil, as not to mention in Africa, where you could have waves 300 feet high and as high as perhaps 15 to 25 feet when it hit the UK. So this would be something, according to these scientists, that would be just unthinkable. So these days, almost all geologists seem to disagree, however. They say it won't happen for at least another 10,000 years. Certainly there is a fault line, and some movement has been detected. And this was printed back in 2018, and as we know, everything has kind of gone up a little bit since 2018, really since the eclipse of 2017 in August. Or some would say the revelation sign in September. There's no evidence that it's 2 kilometers deep, and the fault appears to be 4 kilometers long, not 25 kilometers long that the scientists said. There is a volcano there. It's comparatively small. This is the driest part of the island, and if the volcano erupts and turns the subterranean water into steam, it has lots and lots of escape routes through the porous lava. Therefore, it wouldn't necessarily push the rock into a landslide. So, here he's basically saying it wasn't a peer-reviewed journal that this article was published in, so he's downplaying the risk. And of course, we want to be aware of these things. We don't want to create fear, but creating awareness is something else too. If you're in an area that's vulnerable for something, again, it's the old, if you're crossing the road and there appears to be a car that's not slowing down and you don't see it because it's coming at a certain angle but it's heading your way, don't you want somebody to point it out to you and say, hey, he's not slowing down?
That's exactly true.
So, this is what they came up with as far as what could happen, the fact that it could hit almost the entire Atlantic. Now, this landslide doesn't mean the big one's coming, but at the same time, if there's movement in an area, there's movement in an area, but it's just something to be aware of. Just something to be aware of. No fear, but prepare, right?
Oh, gosh, yes.
So, Iota, leaves more than 20 people dead or missing. Unprecedented damage reported in Provincia San Andres, as you see people being rescued from a boat there. Not a good situation. At least 13 people killed, 11 others remain missing after extremely dangerous Category 4 landfall. It was briefly a Category 5. Unprecedented damage, they say. And again, this was like 2 weeks and like 15 miles away from the previous one.
Yeah, I know. This is just really strange.
Yeah, 155 mile an hour winds. This was an intense one. So the Nicaraguan government is saying it was considered the most powerful storm to hit the country ever in all of history. And you have over 62,000 people evacuated into 683 government shelters following the storm as well. And communication lines are down. Obviously, power lines are down. It's a mess. It's just a mess. There's videos here that are, pretty scary to see. The power of the water and the waves. You got to check this out. This is off the Weather Channel. Again, I refrain from playing these because you just never know which one you're going to get hit with a copyright claim. And, of course, we wouldn't want the channel to go away. But people are here just watching the waves, and then it comes in so high that they are terrified and they scream. I mean, this thing's way over their heads.
Yeah, that thing you're looking at, that's definitely not a cloud.
That's not a cloud. You see how tall the trees are. That's the wave.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Wow, that's impressive. Scary. And so we have two different disturbances to keep an eye on. This one, disturbance 1, 10% chance of cyclone formation in 5 days. And this one, disturbance 2, 20%. And this one probably would not do anything, just kind of head out into the Atlantic. But, it's not quite over yet. And this has been a crazy record-breaking year.
Yeah, it's been quite frightening.
And so Cinnabung is active. The lava dome is continuing to grow. And you have a pyroclastic flow going on there as well. 12,000 feet rising up above sea level, ash. So there's a lot of volcanic activity going on, and just a lot of activity in general.
Yes.
Now, this was interesting because yesterday we were talking about perhaps secret military bases, even one off the coast of Malibu where you could actually go in a submarine and end up hundreds of miles inland over at Walker Lake in Nevada, or perhaps down to even China Lake over by Ridgecrest. Here we see ancient fragment of Pacific Ocean found 400 miles below China. Hints at the deepest subduction event ever, because the last, what they thought was the deepest ever was 125 miles deep. This is 400 miles deep. And again, our science is getting rewritten all the time.
It is, and this is just absolutely amazing.
So the old piece of Pacific is a relic of the oceanic lithosphere. The upper surface layer of the lithosphere is composed of several fragmented tectonic plates, which slowly move and shift around at the surface, occasionally running into each other. During these subductions, one plate gets forced under the other at subduction zones like Cascadia, which we've talked about at length, ends up being driven even deeper into the planet. So this new science study depicts this epic phenomenon taking place at greater depths than ever before observed, at depths between 254 and 410 miles beneath the Earth's surface. Prior records were at roughly 125 miles. So more information about this can be found on Live Science, Strange Sounds, and Steve Quayle. There's links there as well. So, science keeps getting rewritten, and it's at a faster pace than ever.
I know, all those books are really not very good anymore.
So scientists are shooting lasers out towards Carina Nebula. And why? That would be one of the things I would say is why. The astronomy picture looks like a cosmic battle to the death, or a new TV series about aliens attacking Earth. No, and it's not even Project Bluebeam. We actually shoot these 4 laser beams towards ETA Carinae, a nebula that's been exploding for nearly 200 years. Again, why? What's the real purpose here? Scientists fire these lasers from one of the ESO's very large telescopes in Chile to simulate distant stars so they can get to know it better. That's the explanation. Sounds fishy. Maybe they're, are they saying, hey, Enlil, Enki, over here, over here.
Well, when something doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. So.
I mean, are they sending a signal out there towards Oumuamua and the fleet that's coming?
Yeah, I definitely feel this is a cover story.
This reeks cover to me. It really does. So, researchers show telepathy exists between people. We've been talking about this. We talked also about the singularity and getting chips, putting chips in soldiers so they could communicate telepathically on the battlefield and not have to even, speak and endanger themselves. Well, we said that all this is happening naturally. Transferring thoughts, feelings, emotions, or one person invoking some sort of biological response in another. Have you ever experienced telepathy? Yeah, I think most of us have had at least once or twice in our life something like that.
Most definitely.
So a 2006 study found that distant intentionality, DI, which is defined as sending thoughts at a distance from a sender, is actually correlated with an activation of certain brain regions of the receiver.
Wow.
Let me guess. Do you think it happens to be around your pineal?
I think it might be.
The study used 11 healers who do work in this area and 11 other people who did not claim to be healers but had some sort of special connection with the healer. As the study describes, the healers sent forms of DI that related to their own healing practices at a random 2-minute interval that were unknown to the recipient. Significant differences between experimental send and control, no send, procedures were found. Areas activated during the experimental procedures included anterior and middle, cingulate area, precuneus, and the frontal area. It was concluded that instructions to a healer to make an intentional connection with a sensory isolated person can be correlated to changes in brain function in that individual. The authors make it clear that the intentions of the study were not to measure healing of any ailment, but rather examine whether there was some sort of biological response when the sender sent the types of thoughts and feelings to the receiver at a distance. And there was. There you go. So while the receivers were placed in an MRI machine, the healers used a variety of techniques, including touch, prayer, chant, Reiki, vibrations, sound healing, QiGong, and other forms of DI. The healers were given specific information about their role in the study, and it included an on, send, and an off, no send procedure to follow. During the on condition, healers were sending information and trying to connect with the receiver, and during the off condition, they stopped. The type of information sent was described as sending energy, prayer, good intentions, or as thinking of the individual in the scanner and wishing them the highest good. The receivers were instructed to relax and lay outside the machine, and they were not provided any information at all about the timing of the on-off conditions, and the healers themselves were not informed about the timing of the on-off conditions. This way, they could not have relayed their information to the receivers before the scan. The healer was also in an electromagnetically shielded control room and both physically and optically isolated from the receiver and the scanner. The authors found that the group analysis revealed significant activation in several areas of the brain during the times when the DI practitioner was sending to the receiver. They concluded that overall, the results show significant activation of brain regions coincident with DI intervals. The study goes on to mention possible criticism and challenges of the study, but again outlines how some very compelling statistically significant results were seen. One of the limitations was that there are no known biological processes that can really explain or identify telepathy appropriately. As a hypothesis, they mentioned the study may be interpreted as consistent with the idea of entanglement in quantum theory. You know, this sounds like what we talk to the people we work on every single day.
Yes, I know. This is just such a reflection of what we experience all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we've worked on people in North America, you know, like Canada, Mexico, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia, New Zealand. We worked on people all over the globe. You know, hundreds of people as a team, and you know, I've been doing this for a few more years. So I think altogether we're all probably in the thousands of people that we have worked on. And like today, right before doing this video, we were working on somebody in Florida, and Cindy was like, "Are you feeling the energy?" He's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I feel it every time."
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting too because I asked him, well, where do you feel it this time? And he told me about the heart chakra area. So that tells me that more information needs to be sent and balanced in that area.
Yeah, I mean, we understand this, you know, and this is quantum entanglement, and you know, that's another video that I'm going to be doing shortly. And I wanted to go over that. You know, there's scientific reasons for this that have just been discovered really in the last 100 years. So, you know, this is our website. Please go check it out. It's evolutionaryenergyarts.com. And you could read testimonials from people that are all over the place and that have experienced the energy that we send. And other people could be, you know, you could be trained to learn how to do this too. It's really just a matter of building up your own internal wiring.
Yeah, that's really, really important. And it's a blessed thing to be able to help so many people. You know, I can't say how wonderful it is to know that when I send my good intentions and energy out, that someone receives it, and it does have an effect on their lives, because people are always texting back saying, hey, this is better, that's better, or they go down this long list of maybe 20 different things that have improved in their life.
Yeah. So, you know, the world, as we were saying, it's much more amazing and magical than we've been led to believe. And we are heading into a very magical period. And it's really, truly, we are facing a darkness that's on this globe. But at the same time, you know, without the darkness, we wouldn't be able to differentiate the light. So it's a time to rise and shine, and time to overcome.
Definitely overcome, for sure.
As always, guys, thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. God bless, and namaste.
Namaste.